So, some more reading today. This time we're going to read about Scotland and a word which came up in the last reading lesson, perched, is being used in this text in a metaphorical way. It's not a bird this time, but a castle in Scotland, Stirling. The word Stirling, here it is a town, but it can have another meaning. Does anybody know another meaning of Stirling? So Stirling could mean something to do with money. Right, so let's see. I'll show you the picture. Perched is something a bird does, but here you can't really see why it's perched, but let's have a look. Why are they using that word, perched? Perched high on a hill. They mean it's a bit like an eagle sitting up on a high mountain. It's perched dramatically. So I need somebody to come and help me read this. With its mighty castle perched dramatically on a ridge above its rooftops, Stirling is one of Scotland's most historic towns. Once upon a time it was Scotland's capital and is still known as the gateway to the Highlands. It's also a thriving modern city, Scotland's newest in fact, with excellent arts provision, a go-ahead university and excellent shopping. I've never been there though. I have to go there soon because I haven't been there yet. Hello?
Hello.
Hi there. So, has anybody been to Scotland? Well, I mean, somebody's been to Scotland. The Scottish people have been to Scotland, but has anybody here been to Scotland?
I've never been.
Yes, I've been there. I'm gonna go to in the next summer in August. I go there.
I've been to some places in Scotland, quite a few parts of Scotland. I've been to Glasgow, Ayr, Edinburgh, Dundee. Where have you been before?
In Edinburgh, I have been in Edinburgh. It's a very nice city with very monumental, very historic, and the countryside is so nice for me. It's very nice to be there.
Yeah, I've been to Edinburgh, and I would recommend that everybody goes to Edinburgh. It's really quite an amazing place, especially around New Year's Eve and New Year's week. The first week around that time of year, there is something called the Edinburgh Tattoo. Has anybody heard of the Edinburgh Tattoo?
No.
No.
I should write about that, or I should get some writing about that to read, because there's plenty to read about that. And all of the streets of Edinburgh come alive with street music, entertainment, and people performing various things, comedians, music.
But this is the annual theatre concert? Or?
There's theatre, there's concerts, there's the military tattoo as well, which is lots of people playing bagpipes and guns going off up at the castle. And yeah, I've had some good times up there, and I've enjoyed being in Edinburgh. It's not a big city compared to Glasgow, but it's the capital city, and it's really great because you feel like you're in a town with space and grass and historic buildings. So you don't feel that you're in a very big city with skyscrapers around you. It feels quite relaxing for me.
And also you can find the best whiskey in the whole world. And very cheap too.
Yeah, whiskey's interesting. I'm not a great whiskey drinker. I have some whiskey, and I like whiskey a bit, but I don't drink a lot of it. But I can just say one thing about whiskey. Whiskey does change in quality. Sometimes it slips down and it's really smooth and really wonderful. Sometimes it's a bit like firewater.
Like firewater?
I mean, it's a little bit rough, and sometimes it's not so high quality. But I suppose this is true of all drink or spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So, who hasn't been to Scotland along here?
Me.
Igor hasn't been to Scotland, and Carly hasn't been.
Never I had been in Scotland. I would like it, but only I went to London and Portsmouth
London.
and
Portsmouth?
Ireland.
Portsmouth is an interesting city. What
Yes.
did you do there?
Yes, it was very amazing because I went when in Bilbao opened the line the line special Bilbao to Portsmouth by boat. I don't know what is the big boat. Big boat.
Big boat.
Boat, yes. Transatlantic, but I don't know what is the word.
No, I don't know exactly what you're speaking about there. So, like a cruiser.
Like
cruise
a
liner.
cruiser, yes, like a cruiser line, yes.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Interesting. All right then. So, who is this at the beginning? Okakli? Who's that? All right. Ibrahim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Have you been to Scotland?
No.
And which countries have you been to?
I am just in Iraq. I'm not going in any country.
And would you like to go to another country?
America, Japanese, British.
Well, so if you say the country name, then you can say America, but you have to say Japan or Britain. Although actually, Britain is not really a country now. It's kind of a country, but the real name of the country is very long. Britain is a name we use to speak about it, but the full name of the country is rather long. Sometimes it's called the UK, but do you know the full name of this, the UK?
United Kingdom, I think.
The United Kingdom of...
I don't know the...
Does anybody know the
Edinburgh
full
and
name?
Cadsbury.
What did you say, Igor?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yes. Edinburgh. It's Edinburgh. But the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Well, could you start off, Ibrahim, by reading the first paragraph, please, where it says Stirling,
Scotland.
and with its mighty castle.
With its mighty castle perched dramatically on a ridge above its rooftops. Stirling is one of Scotland's most historic towns. One upon a time it was Scotland's capital, and it's still known as a getaway to Highland. It is also a thriving modern city, Scotland's newest, in fact, with excellent arts provision, go-ahead university, and excellent shopping.
Good. And the second time you read Scotland, you read it without saying land. And this is right, Scotland. You know, I've been speaking about the ending of place names. For example, Ford, land, mouth. They have these endings sometimes, land, mouth, and Ford. And we don't say those words in full stressed form. So you're right, we say Scotland's capital. And so with its mighty castle perched, this is not perched, but perched. Now, we had that word already today. What does it mean here, perched?
By.
No. The perch is when the one bird can stay in a perch, and when you stay in the peak of the mountain, you are perched.
Yes, so it's something to do with in the mountain. Yes, it's you're perched is the way that a bird is putting its feet on something and looking from a height. It's standing on a piece of tree or a branch of a tree, or it's standing on the top of a cliff. So you're perched. Here, perched dramatically on a ridge from above its rooftops. It's right up in the air like a bird. So with its mighty castle. Castle, Ibrahim,
Yes.
can you say the word castle?
Castle.
Yeah, that's right. No S sound in it. Castle.
Yeah.
So I was speaking about land. So we say England is quite interesting because it's. I think it might be from Spanish that we say ing instead of eng. We say England, and lund at the end. And so we have Scotland, Ireland, not land. And does anybody know any towns which end in mouth?
Plymouth.
Plymouth, yes.
Plymouth.
And any more? Plymouth, Bournemouth, maybe some others? Okay. Does anybody know any towns which end in Ford?
Stafford.
Stafford?
Stanford.
Stamford? Yeah, that's a nice place to go to. It's a small town.
Stanford. With M.
The one in
No, it's
in
two.
US.
And Stanford and Stamford. With M.
Yes, well, I know a nice Stamford with an M in England, and there are different ones with both the N and the M around the world. Stan. So Stanford and Stanford, yes, Stanford University, Stanford.
Stanford University.
So Ford becomes Ford, and I even remember telling people what that word means.
Bradford is another place.
Bradford, yes. What is a Ford?
A kind of car.
Yeah, it is a kind of car, but it comes from because somebody had the name Ford, and that's why the car is called Ford. But what is the word? The word means something about crossing a river.
It's for crossing or yes.
It's a very old kind of crossing of a river without a bridge, with stones. So that's a ford, and we have quite a few of them in England still, and they're actually often the best way to get across. If you have a vehicle, building a bridge can be a little bit tricky sometimes in small rivers. So they build these fords, the river crossings. Okay, so let's go on. Are there any words there? Yes, we need to describe a word next. Ibrahim, I'm going to describe a word, and I want you to guess the word. Everybody can guess it. It's a kind of... this word means that things are really buzzing and growing and getting more and more.
Thriving.
Thriving, yes. So, Ibrahim, can you try and find a word in that first paragraph?
Yeah.
Don't tell us and talk about it, please.
I don't think so. I can.
All right, let me do one more for you, or can anybody else? Maybe Igor can take over there. Could you, Igor?
Okay. The synonym of contemporary.
The synonym of what?
Contemporary.
Modern.
Contemporary.
Yes.
What was the word you used, Igor? I missed it. The word. The synonym of
Contemporary. But this is.
How did you
not in
write? How do you?
English.
Can you write that word? I just
wanna
missed it.
say-
Contemporary.
Contemporary is contemporary. Synonym of contemporary and is modern, maybe. Yes. Okay. Good. So, does anybody have another word from paragraph 1 that they would like to describe to us? Maybe Raphael can try one.
In the top of one thing, when one people or person are in the top of a mountain too. Could be.
Yeah, and so it can't be peak because that isn't there. So it's something they're doing at the top of the mountain, isn't it? Yes. So it's perched, isn't it? Perched on the top of the mountain, is it?
Yeah, and ridge is similar to be on the top. Ridge.
A ridge is a kind of like an edge of something. So if there's a ridge, it makes a line. You know, geographically, you get a ridge where maybe there's been a movement of one plate and sometimes there's a fault, and then you get a line. I can think of some. There's one in England called the Hogsback near Guildford, and you see the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. There's a kind of ridge. It makes a line.
It's a line.
Yeah.
It's the point higher of the mountain.
Well,
the point of the line.
The top of a mountain is not a ridge.
No.
Usually it's not.
It's the line, yes.
It's the peak of the mountain, the top, the peak or the summit. But a ridge is more a line. So
Yes.
if you look in a dictionary, you'll probably find something geographical about this term because it's
Yes.
a ridge.
Right, or top.
It says a long, narrow, raised part of a surface.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's not the peak normally. And even yes, it's used in the meteorology. In the weather reports say a ridge of high pressure. The Met Office, meteorology, they use this word. A ridge of high pressure is a narrow air mass that brings good weather. And a roof can have a ridge, but sometimes we use other words. I'm just trying to think of the word I use for the top part of a ridge tiles. Yeah, we use ridge. A ridge tile is one that goes over the top, so that word ridge is used for a roof too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to the next reader then. So the next reader will be, we've got Anna here, who's just joined us. I know she's just joined, but are you here on the microphone, Anna?
Hello? Can you
Hello,
hear me?
Anna.
Hello,
Hi there.
hi.
Yeah, say, can I hear you? Yes, I can.
Thank you. Welcome. Hello, everybody.
Can you see the text on the screen, Anna?
Okay.
And have you ever been to Scotland?
Yes,
Where did you go?
I visit the typical tourist route, Edinburgh and places around Edinburgh. But I have to repeat.
You have to go back again because it was good.
Yeah, it was great. It's one of my favorite places in the world, and in fact, my pet is a Scottish Terrier. And then,
Yeah, I think everybody could be well advised to go to Edinburgh at some point because it's a city with hills all around it.
yeah.
What do you remember from Edinburgh?
Oh, I remember I was younger. And I visited Edinburgh in August. So it was the festival with theatre, lots of people's in party, drinking. It was party time. The only thing that was hard for me was the weather, the changes in a day.
So what was the weather like when you were there? Because I went there in August once and it was quite fine and sunny.
My visit was marked because I had to buy three umbrellas.
Oh, you got caught up in some bad weather, bad luck.
Yeah, more than cold, windy all day, raining, windy, sunny. Was like all seasons in one day, but was great time.
Yeah, sometimes when you get the winds up, it can be like that sometimes. I was lucky when I went in August last time, and I was walking up on the hills with no umbrella, no shirt. But yeah, sometimes this is the problem with living near the coast.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Okay, so can you read for me paragraph 2, please?
Which one? Sorry?
So, also dominating the skyline.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Also dominating the skyline is the National Wallace Monument. These are the two cues for the visitor to find out more about the city's history and its heroes. Robert the Bruce and William Wallace.
Now, just stop you there.
Okay.
Because I just want you to see, actually there's a full stop after heroes, which probably shouldn't be there. But they are, Robert the Bruce and William Wallace are those heroes. So we should read through without breaking too much. And I put there's a mistake in there, I'm going to correct it. So the full stop does not belong there. So it's heroes, Robert the Bruce and William Wallace.
Okay. So, about the history and its heroes, Robert the Bruce and William Wallace. The latter was brought to the big screen by Mel Gibson. Brought to the big screen. Sorry?
Yeah, you got it right. That's good. Brought
to the big screen by Mel Gibson's Braveheart, and the film's appeal has increased Stratling's already considerable status. High manner. I can see the text.
Which one? And the film's appeal has increased Stirling's already considerable status
as a tourist attraction. Okay.
So can you find an interesting word there? It doesn't have to be highlighted, any word, and then describe it to the rest of us, and we have to find your word.
Okay. Well, it's a bit difficult. Okay, I have chosen a word about important, maybe more than before.
Increased.
It's similar, but
not that word. Another word. Okay, I'm looking.
Okay.
Considerable.
Yeah, exactly. That was a word.
Considerable.
Good. Okay. So, let me try and find an interesting word there. Yes, this is an interesting word because it's a homophone, but it's like some kind of prompt here. And
I don't. Sorry, teacher. I don't understand what you mean with prompt.
A prompt could be something that in the theatre. A prompt is something which reminds you of your words. So a prompt is something that happens to make you realise, yes, me, next.
Okay.
So this is a similar meaning here, but usually this word is used in another context. It might mean something else. It could even be used in snooker or pool. And it's a homophone of a long line of people waiting at the bus stop.
Queue.
Queue, yes. A queue, the queue there. These are the two cues, like something that reminds people, a prompt, or something that tells people something. So I don't see this word with this meaning that often. So I'm going to have a look and see if I can find it now, because queue, let's see how many meanings queue has. There's queue, stick, cue, which is the stick that you use to hit the snooker ball or the pool ball.
Yes.
Right on cue, that's more related to this one. If something is right on cue, something happens right on cue. Do you know what that means? If something happens bang on time, right on time, bang on cue. So it's like somebody says go and it happened just exactly then, right on cue. And so not so many meanings, but a few.
It could be similar to hint.
Yes, but it's a bit like that, but not quite. So a prompt, cue, hint, they're very similar. Actually, synonyms usually have a little difference somewhere. So that's interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph. So, Igor, you haven't read a paragraph yet, have you?
No, I don't.
No, so let me move the screen down then, and I should number these too. So we're nearly finished with this castle. So can you read this paragraph then, please?
When you tire of the city, there is some of Scotland's most fabulous scenery.
Scenery.
Right on the doorstep. The Trossachs.
Trossachs, I think.
Trossachs to the northwest have been described as the highlands in miniature.
Miniature. This is miniature.
Miniature.
Miniature golf. Miniature, yes.
Miniature.
Very small.
It's a beautiful area, Scotland's first national park, with breathtaking hills, forest parks, and the inspiring Loch Katrine.
And when you say national, just be careful that it's not like nation, so not national, but national.
National.
Yeah, okay.
The Kempsey Fells to the southwest are a range of low rolling hills where quiet country inns and lovely parish churches are to be discovered in the gentle glens.
Yeah, do you know this word glen?
No.
It's a word which is not commonly used to describe something like a valley. So there are quite a few different words for geography. Some of them are used in certain areas because they have a particular look and feel about them. So loch is a Scottish lake, and glens are valleys in Wales or Scotland usually. So maybe this word came into English through other regions. Maybe. Okay, discovered in the gentle glens.
And further west, of course, is the magnificent Loch Lomond and the gateway to the magic of the West Highlands.
Yeah, good reading. I think I would like to hear you connect things, but sometimes it's difficult. But for example, the noun phrases like Loch Lomond and Campsie Fells and breathtaking hills. Try to collect those noun phrases together. Fabulous scenery. Beautiful area. But don't stop when you have an adjective,
Okay.
if you can. Now, my word is a place a bit like a pub, but maybe it's different to a pub because maybe you can actually find a room and stay overnight.
Like a pub, as you said.
A bit like a pub, yes, but probably most pubs are not like this because you can only go in a pub and have a drink with your friends and maybe eat something. But in this kind of pub, they offer drinks, but they offer accommodation as well, like a hotel.
Country
Inns.
Inns, yes.
Yeah, inns.
Yes. So Igor, you do yours now, please.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be one of the highlighted words. Any word.
Magnificent. Synonym.
Because magnificent is used there, so a synonym might have been used to avoid repetition. So let's see.
Or another synonym, incredible. It's synonym to this word.
It's not magic, is it? Magic? No? Breathtaking?
No.
Incredible? Let's see. It can't be beautiful because that's
No.
more likely to be superb, but it's not. Let's have a look at what other adjectives have we got.
Fabulous.
Fabulous, yeah, there we are. Fabulous scenery. I was looking at this word scenery. It's interesting because it's simple, really, because every form of this word seems to have the same sound. Sometimes when a word changes, for example, this word, we've got nation, and then national.
Nation Park.
Nation, national. And some words change a lot. Photograph, photographer, photographic. They change a lot. But this word, scenery, scenic, scene, always seen. So that's quite an easy word, really, compared. There it is. There's the castle. Perched up on a hill. We can't see the ridge of the hill. That's not the ridge of the hill. That's a wall. So I should get a different picture. By the way, if you go to this page, you can hear a good Scottish accent of the region. So I'll post the link, and you can listen and get used to Scottish.
Scottish.
Scottish
there are
accent.
different Scottish accents actually, because people always speak about accents as if it's very simple. There are only two accents in the world, maybe British and US, but of course there are hundreds. And in Scotland you can hear this kind of accent. You can recognise it as a Scottish accent, and with its mighty castle perched dramatically on a ridge, then you could try and read it in Scottish with a Scottish accent, but that's going to be a little tricky to do, I think. So you can listen on the page and you can hear it, but it might take a while the first time round because the sound file is a whole paragraph, and but I'll check it out later. It should work. Make sure that that works later and you can listen. Okay, so let's go down to yes, I can hear it. So, Greyfriars Bobby. It speaks about Edinburgh not being the biggest city. So, which is the biggest city in Scotland?
Glasgow, isn't it?
Glasgow, yes. Glasgow.
But it's not so beautiful.
Well, actually, Glasgow's changed a lot. Glasgow was always grouped with Liverpool and one or two other places as being a bit rough and a bit dangerous even sometimes in some parts. But, well, I think in Glasgow this has changed. So now Glasgow is not going to be a place where you see derelict buildings and dockers trying to throw bricks at you or something like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be that if you go there, you might go to galleries or the theatre and parks and places like that. So Glasgow is changed now, and quite a good city in many parts. But it's quite big, and so it has its parts which probably are not so nice. But Glasgow is fine. You can go to Glasgow and have a good time there. So let's see, who have we got here? Carly, can you just take over the start of Greyfriars Bobby?
Yes.
Okay.
Edinburgh is not the biggest city in Scotland, but it is the capital city. Edinburgh is an old and beautiful city, full of fascinating places to visit. One of these is a church called Greyfriars.
Greyfriars
Kirk. Kirk is a Scottish word for church.
Yes. Kirk, I think of Captain Kirk because he was on BBC the other day. What's his name? William Shatner. He's a very funny man. And does anybody remember him from Star Trek 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Have you ever seen him? He's been on British TV a few times on chat shows and things. He's really hilarious, really funny man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But his name is Kirk. And the interesting thing about Edinburgh is that it looks like Berg, the burgers, but the pronunciation is the same as borough. So sometimes we have cities which have this spelling at the end, borough. But this one looks like it's Berg, but it's Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Edinburgh.
So sometimes you can forget how to spell it if you don't know that, because a lot of people in England might accidentally think it's spelled B-O-R-O-U-G-H, like in England sometimes. Peterborough, Middlesbrough, borough is like this, but this is Edinburgh too in sound. So does anybody know the story of the dog?
No, I don't.
Anna, you might like this one because it's a true story that's been handed down like a legend.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happens. Here is the place, and there's a statue to him, the dog there, and the Bobby's bar.
With the Scottish Terrier.
Yeah, and it's an interesting story. So let's see. The church. So I'm going to ask the next person will be, Carly, you haven't read anything yet, have you, in this lesson?
Yes.
So can you read this one?
Yes, the church was built on lands which was once a Franciscan monastery. The Franciscan monks wear grey clothing, and so it became now as grey friars.
So it became.
Became
Past, yes.
became now as grey friars.
When you say known, get a nice O like phone, and so it became known as Greyfriars.
Known as Grey Friars. Grey Friars Kirk had an important role in the 17th century and was a centre of the Protestant oppositions to the king. However, these days, people visit Greyfriars Kirk in their thousands.
Okay, keep that's a name. Those two words have to go together, please. So Greyfriars Kirk is like a name. It's like Crystal Palace. It's like Buckingham Palace. Greyfriars Kirk.
Okay, in their thousand. Not because they are interested in 17th century Scotland, but to see a little statue of a dog.
Statue. So you can say, you don't have to say tew. You can say chew, like chew a bone. You know, the dog is chewing gum. Statue of a dog.
A statue of a dog called Greyfriars body.
Greyfriars, it is. Greyfriars body.
Greyfriars body.
Okay, good. So could you just do the usual? Find one word there in that paragraph and describe it to us, please.
One word. I don't know. Become, for example.
Choose one that you don't tell us. So I will find one, and then you can try and find another. So mine will be. Sometimes it's made of stone. It's created by an artist, maybe a sculptor, and it's to commemorate something, like a person. Statue, yes. So can you try one, Carl? Try to find a word there and describe the word.
Stratifies. Where is the word?
You choose any word.
Ah, yes.
So find an interesting word that you like, and speak about it, and we guess your word.
I choose the become word. The become.
Yeah, but you don't want to tell me.
And tell
you have to tell me. You can choose a word, but you mustn't tell us. Choose a word secretly.
Secretly.
Yes. Then you speak about it, and we say this word.
I can understand. Yes. Now, for example, when along the time there are some things for to do and was remembered all time every day is one word special for say this.
Century.
What?
Century?
Century.
Yes.
Century. Good. Okay. Good. Well done. So let's. Munir, are you there?
Yeah.
So I'll just move the screen down for you there. Okay.
Okay.
So your turn to read then.
Start reading or what?
Yes. Could you read the text there? Bobby belonged.
Okay. Bobby belonged to a man called John Gray, or old Joe, as he.
Yes, this word AULD is really like old, but it's Scottish old way of saying old, because in the old days we didn't have spelling, and so you could write words in your own accent and your own dialect. And so that we don't do this anymore. That we try not to do this now, but there is some variation. But we try to write one word one way. But this is like old. Do you know Auld Lang Syne?
No, old.
May old acquaintance be forgotten. Yes. You can see this word there as well. Not O-L-D, not old, but old. So they kind of changed the spelling in the old days, but nowadays we have standard spelling since Samuel Johnson's dictionary. So, okay, continue reading, please.
Okay. As he was commonly known. Old
old Jock was a night watchman, and Bobby went with him everywhere. Then, in 1858, old Jock died of
tuberculosis. What is that? Do you know what that is? Tuberculosis, TB.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis. You get, you just get ill. You start coughing and get weak, and we have some kind of vaccines against it now. But they're speaking about the potential of it coming back again, because some people do not take their vaccine because now they say there's an option about taking vaccinations, and so maybe it will come back again. But tuberculosis is a problem disease around the world, and lots of people used to die of it.
It's tuberculosis, right?
Yes. Okay. So read on there. He was buried.
He was buried in the churchyard of Grey Friars.
A friar is some kind of religious man. If you know Robin Hood, there's a big fat friar, Friar Tuck.
Ah, okay.
It's interesting that the word tuck is related to food, like a tuck shop, tuck in. But Friar Tuck was a big fat man, and he was a churchman. Friars are religious men. I'm not sure exactly what rank they hold, but a Grey Friars Kirk, okay.
For the next 14 years, Bobby sat beside his master's grave.
Yeah, when you I'd like you to read Master's Grave, because I want everybody to try to keep nouns together. So Master's Grave, that's one noun. Keep it together.
Master's grave. Master's grave, waiting for him to return. Until the last, in 1872, Bobby himself
died. At last. At last is a very important preposition, until at last. So at last is like, I've been waiting a long time, but at last the bus came. At last. It's like a long, long wait, and then finally, yes, it happened. At last. So that preposition is quite important because it helps the whole meaning. So until at last, in 1872, Bobby himself died. So read on.
In 1872, Bobby himself died. Soon after that, a wealthy lady paid for a statue.
Wealthy statue. A wealthy lady paid for a statue. Wealthy. Healthy and wealthy, EA, but wealthy, healthy, health. Some of these EA is just like head. You know the word head. Healthy, wealthy, head. This is So a wealthy lady paid for a statue.
A wealthy lady paid for a statue to
commemorate
the dog. And tourists have come to visit the place ever since.
Yeah, that's right. You got the ending that time round. Ever since, yes. Okay.
There have been books and film about.
And a film.
A film about Grey Friars. Bobby.
Yeah, a Grey Friars Bobby together. Grey Friars Bobby. Yeah.
And in Edinburgh, you can buy all sorts of Grey Friars Bobby souvenirs.
Now, that is a big noun phrase with 3 words in it, so we need to look at that. You can buy all sorts of, what can you buy? Grey Friars Bobby souvenirs. We've got to try to keep those nouns together. So all sorts of Grey Friars Bobby souvenirs. All right, and the last sentence?
Bobby is indeed one of the most famous dogs in the world.
Yeah, good reading. Indeed, indeed, yes. Right, so now I'm going to do a word here, and then I want you to look for a word for you to do after me. I won't tell you my word. This word means that we want everybody to remember something important that happened.
Commemorate.
Yep, good. Okay. So now I'd like you, Munir, to find a word from your paragraph. Don't tell me the word, and just speak about the word.
Okay. It's like a gift or something to give.
A gift.
Souvenirs. Souvenir.
Ah, souvenir. Must be. Okay, so is that the right answer, Munir? Souvenir?
Yeah, souvenir, that's right.
Yeah. Souvenir. Comes from veneer, doesn't it? Veneer. So veni. Latin. Veni, vici. What did the Emperor Julius Caesar say? I came, I saw, I conquered. Veni, how does that go? My Latin's getting a bit rusty these days. I have to go back and study more Latin. I studied Latin at school and I've forgotten it all now. I speak this other kind of Latin. Okay, so here's a question for you. What adjectives describe a typical dog's character?
Loyal.
Loyal, that's a nice one, isn't it? Loyal. Loyal.
Nice, sweet, could be.
Sweet, nice, yeah, that's too soppy though, sweet and nice, because I'm not having that. So
Friendly.
Faithful.
What was that one that sounded like freely, feely? What was that one?
Friendly.
Friendly. Yes.
Yes, friendly.
Faithful. Yes. I can think of another kind of characteristic of dogs. You know, actually the verb hounding and dogging somebody comes from this other kind of characteristic of dogs, but maybe you can think of some adjectives which fit that. Faithful, friendly, loyal,
Dedicated.
Yeah, okay.
Funny.
Dedicated, but I think dedicated is something maybe for a person who works hard at something. I can't imagine a dog has the brain to be dedicated. So what word can we use instead? This idea that they don't give up, you know, until they just keep going.
Wedded.
Aggressive.
Well, I wasn't thinking about aggressive. Anna, do you know the word I'm thinking about? It means...
Yeah, but
I don't know. But
I cannot be objective because my dog is like a person. So I used to say she's smart, she's funny, and she does what she wants. She's loyal, maybe. Loyal.
Yes.
Yeah, loyal. But this is one definite characteristic of dogs, that they are loyal and faithful. And Greyfriars Bobby was very faithful. But can we find some good adjectives to describe this characteristic of dogs, that they don't give up? But determined is maybe more human, and determined is better than dedicated, I think.
Yes.
Restless could be.
Restless, well, that's another kind of meaning, isn't it? They don't like to. But it doesn't really tell me that they don't give up. It says they have lots of energy. Yes, if they're restless,
Energetic.
and energetic.
Persistent.
Yeah, that's really on the spot. Yeah, that's hit the nail on the head. Persistent. Are there any synonyms of persistent?
Stubborn.
Stubborn. Yeah, but that's right. You can be stubborn without actually doing anything. You just refuse to back down. So a dog can be persistent, dogged. Yeah,
Persistent.
Persistent. Dogged is interesting because you know that we have lessons very often about endings with ed, and regular past endings we don't say ed, but when they turn into a kind of participle, we sometimes do dogged. But sometimes we don't. But occasionally we do. Sometimes to make a distinction. So what was yours, Anna? You said a word. What was your word? You said dogged. No, determined, persistent. Persistent, yeah.
Submit or submit.
Submissive is when they kind of lie down with their stomach showing and in a very submissive mood. Disciplined, yes, well behaved, disciplined.
Discipline.
Tenacious.
Hey, what was that? Write that down. I didn't see. Vernaculous. What's that?
Tenacious.
And it's sometimes aggressive, no?
Aggressive, yeah. But when you say that word, can you say no stress at the beginning? Aggressive.
It's not the Anna dog, but other dogs. Yes.
Sure.
You know, Carl, I'd like to write some words in the chat, and I'd like you to just read them. Can you read these words? Can you read this one?
Ahead.
Ahead. And this one?
Away.
Yeah, that's right. That's the way you read them. And this one?
Occur.
Occur. Yeah, so lots of words have this kind of pattern. And you know, words that begin with con can have different ways. So can you read these words?
Me?
Yeah,
Conflict.
Carry on reading.
Conflict.
And what about this one?
Considerable.
I didn't like that one. How do you say that one, folks?
Considerable.
Considerable. It's not considerable, is it? What is it?
Considerable.
Good, Igor. Nicely read. Considerable.
Considerable.
There was a considerable difference in the stress pattern when Igor read it. Considerable, yes. Yeah. Most of the words that begin with con are unstressed at the beginning, but not all of them. So we have confidence is with a big stress at the beginning. Confidence. And how do you say this? But how do you say this word?
Confide.
Yeah. Okay, what about cats? Who can say to me, Anna, can you tell me about cats and dogs? How do they differ in their character?
For me, are like wine and water. They are very different.
Chalk and cheese, maybe. Do you know wine and water? Where did you get the wine and water from? I've heard of Jesus turning wine into water, but you said they're like wine and water. Why did you say that?
What I mean is
that... You mean they're very different?
No, they are very, very different.
Yeah.
They're like day and night.
Yeah, well, in English, we sometimes say chalk and cheese. Do you know this? Chalk and cheese.
No, I didn't know.
That's how we say that one. We don't say day and night. We say they're like chalk and cheese. And there are... but not wine and water. But okay, so tell me more about this.
For example, cats are very independent. They always be... it's very difficult to find a cat that's waiting for you when you arrive home. And a dog, it's more dependent and shows you its feelings or the way it feels. It's more outdoors than cats. Cats is more...
So, some adjectives to describe cats, everybody. What kind of adjectives can describe cats? We had some for dogs. Dogs faithful, loyal, but cats maybe not.
Jealous. Jealousy.
Jealous?
Yes.
Jealous of each other? Jealous of the dog? What?
Suspicious?
Yes, they are very jealous of the owner.
Yes.
Very jealous. They choose one person and they are the pet of that person.
Yes.
So they tend to be a little bit choosy about things, very selective, a bit snobbish, don't they? Like aristocrats.
Independent.
Independent, yes.
Independent.
Strange.
Strange.
Okay, so what do you think I should write about, or what text would be interesting to add about Scotland next? Maybe something about Edinburgh and the festival there. What do you think?
Yeah, the festival tattoo.
is there anything else interesting about Scotland that we can look at next?
Sure. A lot of. I would like to know deeper the history and the places, not the very known places like Edinburgh, the small villages.
The origin.
The origins and the small villages in the Highlands, or it could be great to know about that.
Yeah, let me look at that, and maybe there's Loch Ness as well. That's quite an interesting place. So
Also from Inverness or
Inverness. I've never been up to Inverness, but yeah, there's quite a lot up there in Scotland. Yes. Okay then. So I'll go for lunch now. So I'm going to read more about Amelia Earhart, and this morning when I started going into the chat about it, I was thinking about ear and heart because the word heart was there, and ear is in her name, but you don't say ear. And then I wrote her name wrong, and I'm going to go and try and correct it now because I wrote the word out that was in my mind as I was rushing. So I've actually written her name wrong, which is terrible. Oh dear. So we'll read more about her anyway. She's really great, and I'll see you all later.
See you later.
See you later.
Thank you very much.
See